Pain is not your enemy, it's your teacher. Think about it. The lessons that really stuck with you in life weren't the ones you learned when everything was easy. They were the ones that came with tears, with long nights, with heavy struggles. Pain speaks louder than comfort ever could. When it hurts, you listen. When it breaks you, you remember. Pain grabs your attention in ways nothing else can. When you go through pain, you learn about your limits, and you discover they are not where you thought they were. You thought you couldn't take more, but then life handed you more, and you realized you are stronger than you believed. That pain stretched you, and in stretching, you grew. You don't get that revelation sitting in peace and ease. Pain is the sharp edge that cuts away weakness. Pain also teaches resilience. Every time you get back up after being knocked down, you build a layer of toughness. You don't learn how to fight when you are comfortable. You learn it when you have been hit. You don't learn how to stand tall when the wind is soft. You learn it when the storm is raging. Pain teaches you how to keep walking when your legs feel heavy, how to keep breathing when your chest feels tight, how to keep believing when everything looks hopeless. Pain introduces you to yourself. You may think you know who you are, but until you have been pressed to your breaking point, you don't. Pain reveals your character, your patience, your strength, and your faith. It shows you whether you quit or whether you keep going. It uncovers whether your words are just talk or whether your actions back them up. Pain strips away the surface and exposes the real you. Pain gives perspective. The truth is, if you never hurt, you'd never appreciate joy. If you never struggled, you'd never appreciate victory. Pain teaches you how to cherish peace when it finally comes, how to treasure love after hit or a break, how to value success after failure. Without pain, life would feel flat. It's the contrast that makes blessings meaningful, and pain is what sharpens that contrast. Pain pushes you into purpose. Sometimes it's the very thing that moves you from where you are to where you are supposed to be. You wouldn't have left that toxic situation if it didn't hurt. You wouldn't have changed your habits if the consequences weren't painful. You wouldn't have grown if life didn't push you through the fire. Pain forces you out of comfort zones and into growth zones. Pain also humbles you. It reminds you that you are human, that you don't control everything, that life can shake you. But in that humility, you find wisdom. You realize you need strength beyond yourself, guidance beyond your own knowledge, courage beyond your own heart. Pain opens your eyes to truths you might ignore when everything feels good. Comfort feels good in the moment, but it slowly eats away at everything inside you that's supposed to grow. The couch is soft, the routine is predictable, the habits are safe. But while you sit in that comfort, life is passing you by. Opportunities don't knock forever, and dreams don't chase you back. Every second you choose comfort over growth, you lose a piece of your potential. Comfort convinces you that average is enough, but deep down, you know it isn't. Comfort is a liar because it whispers that you have time. It makes you believe tomorrow will always be there, that you will get serious later and that you will grind when it's convenient. But the truth is life doesn't wait. Every year you stay in comfort, the gap between who you are and who you could be gets wider. Comfort makes you delay the hard work, and delay is nothing but wasted potential. Think about the gym. Growth in your body only comes when you step into discomfort. Lifting heavy hurts, running far burns, stretching feels tight. But those are the very things that make you stronger. If you stop when it hurts, you stop growing. That same rule applies to your dreams. If you avoid the discomfort of discipline, of risk, of sacrifice, then you stay the same while life keeps moving forward. The people you look up to didn't get there by staying comfortable. They woke up earlier than they wanted to. They stayed up later than they felt good. They said no when saying yes would have been easier. They suffered through discomfort because they understood that potential dies in ease. They knew comfort is the enemy of greatness, and they refused to let it keep them small. Comfort also breeds excuses. It convinces you that you are too tired, too busy, too late, too broke, too anything to move forward. Those excuses feel valid in the moment, but they are chains holding you back. Excuses are just comfort dressed up in words. And as long as you believe them, you will never see what you are truly capable of. When you live in comfort, you stop challenging yourself. You stop chasing the harder thing. You stop setting higher goals. You convince yourself that where you are is enough, even though something inside you screams for more. That quiet scream doesn't go away. It becomes frustration, regret, and disappointment later in life. Comfort silences growth, but it cannot silence your spirit's hunger for more. Comfort will keep you safe, but it will never let you soar. Potential is not discovered in easy places. It's uncovered in the grind, in the stretch, in the pain, in the unknown. If you stay comfortable, you stay ordinary. If you choose discomfort, you find the edge of your potential. And once you touch that edge, you will realize you were meant for far more than comfort. Eve allowed you to see discipline doesn't show up when life is easy. It's forged in the moments you least want to keep going. You don't become disciplined because you had smooth days and everything went your way. You become disciplined when you force yourself to move, even when you are tired, even when you are hurting, even when your mind screams quit. Struggle is the fire that shapes discipline into something unshakable. Without that fire, you stay weak, you stay inconsistent, you stay average. Think about the mornings when your alarm goes off and every part of you wants to stay in bed. That war in your head, that moment where you choose whether to rise or rest. That's where discipline is either built or broken. If you get up, if you push through the discomfort, you have taken another step toward becoming disciplined. If you don't, you feed the habit of giving in. Discipline is born every single time you do what you don't feel like doing. Struggle forces you to decide whether you are serious or just saying you are. When life gets hard, when obstacles pile up, when nothing works out the way you expected, that's when discipline steps in. Struggle doesn't care about your feelings, your excuses, or your plans. It demands that you either build consistency or get crushed under the weight of inconsistency. The more you endure the struggle, the sharper your discipline becomes. Discipline is the habit of sacrifice. You sacrifice sleep for progress. You sacrifice comfort for growth. You sacrifice fun for focus. None of those sacrifices feels good in the moment. They hurt, they stretch, they frustrate you, but they are exactly what builds your character. Struggle trains you to say no when everyone else says yes, to stay when everyone else walks away, to fight when everyone else quits. That resistance makes you different. When you struggle, you learn how to control yourself. You realize you don't have to give in to every impulse, every craving, every distraction. Struggle teaches you how to resist, how to delay gratification, how to keep your eyes on the bigger picture. Every battle you win against yourself adds another brick to the wall of discipline. That wall doesn't get built in comfort, it gets built in resistance. Struggle also teaches you consistency. Discipline isn't about doing something once. It's about doing it daily. And nothing will test that consistency like struggle. When things go wrong, when results don't show, when life feels heavy, that's when most people stop. But if you keep showing up in the struggle, you prove to yourself that you are not driven by feelings, you are driven by commitment. Struggle sharpens your focus. It removes the noise, the distractions, and the laziness, and forces you to concentrate on what truly matters. In the middle of a struggle, you stop caring about shortcuts, about easy paths, about quick rewards. You learn that the only way out is through. That's the birthplace of discipline. When you stop chasing comfort and start respecting the grind that struggle demands of you. Pressure is uncomfortable. It squeezes you. It makes you feel like you can't breathe. But without pressure, nothing valuable is ever formed. A diamond doesn't come from ease. It comes from intense heat and crushing force. Your life works the same way. The moments where you feel like everything is on top of you, when the weight is unbearable, those are the very moments shaping you into something stronger, tougher, and more valuable than you were before. When life applies pressure, you have two options, break or build. Most people run from pressure because it hurts, it feels unfair, and it feels overwhelming. But those who embrace it, those who decide to stay in the fire, discover they can withstand far more than they imagined. That pressure strips away the soft layers of doubt, fear, and laziness, leaving behind a hardened version of yourself that can no longer be shaken easily. Pressure exposes weaknesses. When the heat rises and the load gets heavy, all the cracks show up. You see where your patience is thin, where your habits are sloppy, where your mindset isn't as strong as you thought. And though it feels painful to see those flaws, that's where growth begins. Pressure doesn't just crush, it reveals. And once you see what needs fixing, you have the power to change it. Think about every great breakthrough in history. Athletes under pressure in the final seconds, entrepreneurs under pressure when their businesses almost collapse, leaders under pressure when everyone is counting on them. Those situations create greatness because the pressure demands more than average effort. It pulls out hidden strength, hidden creativity, hidden resilience that never would have surfaced without it. Pressure builds endurance. It teaches you how to hold on when everything inside you wants to let go. It shows you how to keep pushing when you are tired, how to keep believing when nothing is working, how to keep standing when everything around you is falling. Endurance doesn't come from comfort. It comes from pressure, from being tested beyond your limits until you realize your limits weren't limits at all. Pressure also forces decisions. When the weight is on, you can't sit back and wait. You have to act. You have to choose. You have to step forward. Pressure strips away hesitation and demands clarity. It makes you decide whether you are really committed or just pretending. That decision-making power is part of your growth because every choice under pressure sharpens your direction. Pressure molds character. Anyone can smile when life is easy, but who you are under stress reveals the truth. Pressure teaches humility. It teaches resilience. It teaches discipline. It teaches courage. It makes you stand taller than you thought possible. And while it feels unbearable in the moment, that same weight is what's carving you into something rare and unbreakable. A setback feels like the end. It feels like failure, like the door is slammed in your face, like you are being pushed backwards when you work so hard to move forward. But what looks like a step back is often a setup for something bigger. Life has a way of redirecting you through disappointment. What you thought was a loss is usually the seed of a lesson, and that lesson is building the foundation for your next breakthrough. Setbacks strip away illusions. They show you what doesn't work, who doesn't belong, and what needs to change. In the middle of a setback, it hurts, it stings, it makes you question yourself. But without those moments, you'd keep walking blind. The setback opens your eyes to truths you would have ignored if everything had kept flowing smoothly. It's not punishment, it's preparation. Every setback carries information. That failed business taught you what systems you need next time. That broken relationship showed you what kind of love you deserve. That job rejection revealed where your skills need sharpening. The setback gives you data that success never would. And if you pay attention, you will realize the information you gained in failure is the very thing that will carry you to your next level. Setbacks also build humility. They remind you that no matter how smart, talented, or strong you think you are, life can still humble you. But humility is fuel for growth. When you are humble, you listen more, you learn more, and you adapt quickly. A setback brings you back to the ground so you can rebuild with a stronger foundation. Without that fall, you'd keep climbing on weak legs. When you experience setbacks, you learn resilience. Every time you get knocked down and choose to get back up, you are training your spirit. You are building muscle that no comfort could ever give you. You are teaching yourself that setbacks are not the end of the story. They are chapters in the process. And the more setbacks you endure, the stronger your ability to keep moving becomes. Setbacks redirect you toward alignment. Sometimes you are chasing something that isn't meant for you, and the only way life can stop you is by shutting the door. That closed door feels like pain, but in reality, it's guidance. It's pushing you away from dead ends and into purpose. If every door stayed open, you'd never find the one that truly leads to where you belong. Every major comeback is built on a setback. The greatest stories of success all started with failure, with rejection, with disappointment. Those people didn't quit when they were pushed back. They used that push to gain momentum. They let the pain sharpen them. They let the delay train them. They let the loss teach them. And when the opportunity finally came, they were ready in a way they never would have been without the setback. Everybody says they want success, but not everybody is willing to pay the price. Success is expensive, and the currency is sacrifice. You don't get to keep all your comfort and still achieve greatness. You don't get to hold on to every distraction and still reach your goals. Something has to be given up for something greater to be gained. That exchange is what separates the dreamers from the doers. Sacrifice means late nights when your body craves rest. It means early mornings when sleep is still heavy in your eyes. It means missing parties, skipping comfort, and turning down easy pleasures because the vision in your head is more valuable than a temporary feeling. Sacrifice is uncomfortable, it hurts, it feels unfair at times, but it's the only way to level up. No one climbs higher without letting go of the weight holding them down. Think about athletes at the top of their game. They don't just show up on the field. They live a life of sacrifice. They sacrifice junk food, late nights, careless choices, and comfort zones. They push their bodies past exhaustion. They train when no one is watching. They lock in on routines most people wouldn't last a week with. That sacrifice is the hidden cost behind the success the world applauds. Sacrifice also shows up in relationships. Sometimes success requires distancing yourself from people who don't share your vision. You may have to walk away from friends who only want to play, from crowds that drain your energy, from voices that keep you average. That separation hurts, it feels like suffering, but it's the suffering that clears the space for your growth. You cannot take everyone with you to where you are going. Sacrifice is saying no to instant gratification. It's choosing not to spend money recklessly so you can invest in your future. It's turning down the easy path so you can walk the harder one that leads to real rewards. It's fighting the urge to quit when quitting feels more comfortable. Sacrifice trains your mind to value the long term over the short term, and that shift is where true success begins. Sacrifice tests your commitment. Anybody can talk about success, but only those willing to bleed for it will taste it. The late nights, the long hours, the failures, the losses, those are sacrifices. They are proof that ye are serious. If you are not willing to give up anything, you are not ready to gain everything. Success will demand evidence of your hunger, and sacrifice is that evidence. Sacrifice reshapes your character. When you choose growth over ease, purpose over pleasure, and discipline over laziness, you transform. That transformation doesn't come cheap. It's bought with sweat, tears, and choices most people run from. And while it may feel like you are losing in the moment, you are actually building the strength and mindset that success requires before it shows up in your life. When everything is going right, when money is flowing, when opportunities are plentiful, people will surround you. They will clap, they will cheer, they will laugh with you. But the moment you start suffering, the moment life strips you down and you have nothing to offer but your pain, that's when you find out who's real and who was only there for the ride. Suffering exposes the truth in relationships like nothing else ever could. When you are on top, it's easy for people to smile in your face. It doesn't cost them anything. But when you are at the bottom, when you are struggling to breathe, when you can't even fake a smile anymore, that's when the crowd disappears. And the few who remain, those who sit with you in silence, those who encourage you when you have nothing to give back, those are your true friends. Suffering reveals loyalty. In your worst moments, people's true colors come out. Some will distance themselves because your pain makes them uncomfortable. Some will judge you because they never cared for you beyond what you could provide. And some will surprise you, showing up consistently, quietly, faithfully when you least expect it. The weight of suffering presses people until their intentions are revealed. And the truth is not always pretty, but it's necessary. Suffering teaches you to value presence over performance. Real friends don't always have the right words. Sometimes they don't say anything at all, but they show up. They check on you. They remind you that you are not alone. You start to see the difference between people who only loved your shine and people who love your soul. Suffering strips away the fake and leaves you with the real. When you suffer, you become harder to impress. You stop being fooled by smiles, by compliments, by empty promises. You learn to measure people by their consistency, by their actions, by their sacrifices. And in that clarity, you learn who belongs in your circle and who needs to stay outside it. That kind of discernment doesn't come from good times. It's born in the fire of suffering. Suffering also forces you to be honest about your own role in relationships. You start asking yourself, have I been the kind of friend I want others to be for me? Have I shown up? Have I been loyal? Have I been consistent? The pain humbles you enough to see that friendship is not just about who stays when you are broken. It's also about who you have been when others were broken. Suffering sharpens your perspective both ways. Suffering acts like a filter. It filters out the opportunists, the pretenders,